are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York girls. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 379 of the New York Knicks Show, part of Almighty Baller Radio, almightyballer.com, and New to Dash Radio.
Dash Radio? What's
Yes.
that?
That is a huge satellite radio station that we are now added to. I am Jay. With me is Mark. You would think that the Knicks have been eliminated from the playoffs for over a month. The season is over. The playoffs have started. We'd have absolutely nothing to talk about. I think we have more to talk about this episode than we had during the regular season.
Oh,
This has been one of the craziest weeks for the Knicks in a long time.
I mean, let's start with the Knicks did play a game this week. They
My,
played the last game.
My office mate and I have a thing where we have on our dry erase board how many days the Knicks can go without embarrassing themselves.
Yes.
And it never goes more than a few days. And we thought we were safe when we left on Friday because it was a half a day. And about an hour later, the Knicks embarrassed themselves. So Monday we had to come in and erase everything.
Okay, so they played. The Knicks did play Philly.
Yeah.
And this was an important game for absolutely no one. It was only important to helping the Knicks tank. So the Knicks won the game by 1 point in exciting fashion because they hate us.
It was the most perfect Knicks win, though, because not only could it affect our draft standings, we won on a game-winning shot by Endor.
I had to say, like, before the game even happened, I could have said the Knicks were going to win by 1 point. There was no other way the game could have ended.
Right.
Like, it almost as if, like, Ender could have shot that ball, could have thrown it into the stands, and the basketball gods would have picked it up from the stands and dunked it and said, "No, Knicks, you win." Ha, 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 ha.
I mean, the end of it, all the young guys were, like, really hyped and pumped up, and that was a nice moment. It was good to see all those guys so happy. And we built winning culture, so that's good for the two of those guys that will be back.
Yeah, all those things were really important, and
Well,
because of that,
yeah, but we won, but they weren't. I mean, they played Plumlee, Endor, Randall. Like they couldn't have done much more to take. Philly sat everybody.
Philly didn't even care. It didn't even affect. Philly could not catch the Knicks, and Philly was like, "We still don't care about winning the game. We're so into the tank." So I wanted to play a game with you.
Okay, I like games.
The game is going to be because I feel like this season, when the season started, we had some hope. The hope has disappeared, obviously, and I want to do a game where I'm going to go back in time. I'm going to go back in time to October, and I'm going to have a conversation with Jay now where we talk about the Knicks. But like we're just going to talk about our hope versus our how you feel now, Jay. You get the game, Jay? We're not actually talking to each other because we're in different periods of time. You can't talk to me back then because you don't have a time machine. But I'm going to say how I feel. You're going to say how you feel, okay?
Okay.
If you're not following this, neither is our audience. Okay, this is Mark from October. I don't know how the Knicks season is going to go, but I'm excited. I have to say, I mean, my biggest concern is is injuries. I mean, I imagine Rose is probably going to miss most of the season. Noah probably also. But if they can stay healthy, they can play a lot of games. The Knicks are going to be we're going to have one of the better starting fives in the league.
And I am not surprised at all that Rose and Noah got injured. My biggest concern right now is the fact that everyone's angry and might leave the team.
I'm excited this year, at least, that you have a bunch of good veterans. That we should be building on last year. There's no way. I mean, Jay and I have been talking about making that bet, and like if we just go to Vegas and bet in the season, I think ESPN predicted us to have like 34 wins or something, which is like basically you're getting free money from bookies if you bet it. You bet against that. Like the Knicks are obviously going to win more than 34 games.
If there's one thing I have to thank the basketball gods for, is having us be so incompetent we couldn't figure out how to place a bet on the Knicks because we would have gotten cleaned out.
I am excited about the fact that like Porzingis in his second season, it's going to really work out. I mean, like he's on the same page as this team, and the one thing Phil can't screw up is Porzingis.
Phil had a press conference where he said Porzingis isn't ready to lead the team and that he is not untouchable and that he gets cheap points off of three-pointers.
Well, you know what? Like, here's the thing: Derrick Rose, if he can get his game back, where he can have that same drive to the basket, it'll be a huge pickup. That trade will really work out for us if Rose can just have the same burst to the basket. I can't see how it could go wrong.
Rose can drive, and that's literally all he can do on the court.
I know we're going to win now with Melo and all these other guys in the team, but at least we'll get to finally, even if we get swept in the first round, at least we'll go to the playoffs.
Yeah, about that whole playoff thing. Can we just? I need to talk about this press conference. I'm sorry to break the bit.
I don't think you really quite got how I was going to go with this bit, but that's cool.
Was I not doing it right?
Yeah, I don't know if maybe we should have discussed it ahead of time. But anyway, let's talk about the press conference. So, do you want to talk about by player or by what, or how do you want to talk about it? There's a lot to talk about here.
There is a lot to break down. Let's just go topic by topic, I guess. So, Phil finally speaks to the media after 7 months of not. And
here's the thing, like, is it weird that the GM or team president's not speaking to the media? Like, do other team presidents speak to the media often?
No, I don't think so. I think people are making a much bigger deal about that than they need to because I don't see other team presidents addressing the media all the time.
In fairness, though, the Knicks have a history of like not where GMs are like been not allowed to talk to the media.
Yeah.
So I understand people like in New York. In New York, there's so much media. Especially when you have such a big figure as the in charge as Phil, and sometimes he seems like so open to talking. Like the beginning of the season, he's like going to summer league games, just like, "You're a reporter. Let me talk to you," and then he kind of disappears. It's kind of weird.
I think the bigger deal is that he doesn't talk to the media, but then he tweets cryptic things that raise so many questions. Right.
Or there's a piece written by Charlie Rose, which kind of seems like it's what Phil Jackson has to say. It kind of seems like it's straight from Phil Jackson's lips, but it's not. And we don't really know, but it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is weird. He also seems to have this weird hatred of three-point shots. I mean, to say Porzingis gets cheap points off of threes, like, shouldn't you be happy that he's taking threes?
I mean, I also have never heard of the, we don't want cheap baskets. Like, I thought the entire point of, like, basketball, one of the things you try to do is get easy baskets. Because those are the preferred shots. Anything that's easy is better. Not that three-point shooting is easy, but if you think that's easy, then do it all the time.
Yeah.
We don't get extra points for hard shots.
I mean, God forbid we stretch other teams' defenses.
You're not like shooting. You get an extra but the Knicks 2-pointers were contested, so they get extra points for that.
Okay, well, anyway, beyond that, to say that he's not untouchable.
We're doing a really good job of reporting back what happened. So Phil Jackson spoke to the media. Also, just 1 second. He sends these cryptic tweets. Instead of just talking to a reporter at that point and just saying, "Here's what I actually meant," he just lets it go.
Exactly.
And then it's the media takes over and runs with the story, and he never really corrects it. Basically.
Exactly. He started a firestorm earlier in the season when he was referencing players that aren't leaders and don't get it, and everyone thought he was taking a stab at Melo, and then he just lets this firestorm of things keep going.
Well, he called out Melo for being sticky with the ball.
Yeah.
And that's something that everyone said about Melo for a long period of time. And he even said in his press conference, everything I said was true, and Phil has the history of trying to call out players in the media, but it's weird when the GM calls out players in the media. If you're the coach does it and that's your style, well, you're with the player all the time, so you've already established a relationship. Maybe this will still work in your like Zen, like your weird way of doing things. But when you're the GM, kind of removed from the team and taking shots from Twitter, it's a little like taking shots from places. It's a little weird.
It's very strange. So then
I think it's
said,
justifiable to have asked like, why is Phil not talking to the media? Because he's already been he talks in very cryptic ways. If you're gonna talk cryptically, then just talk to everyone.
But then he talks to the media and he tells everyone Melo would be better off on another team.
So what I don't understand here is you want to trade Melo. You want to get as much for him as possible if you're going to trade him. Why tell everyone else? Why show everyone else your cards and go, let's play poker?
Right. It's like I have two pair. All right, I'm going to bet something now. Don't show me your hand though. I don't know. I don't know why he would do that. Especially if you want to get rid of him, why say he would be better off somewhere else?
Why don't we? You want to cut to the scene of Phil trying to make a trade?
Sure.
Oh, hey Phil, glad to get a call from you. I bet you're calling to trade Melo. We all know you're trading Melo. We also had that press conference. I bet you want nothing for him because that's why you talked about it like that.
No. I want a lot actually. In fact,
but I know he's got to go. So how about I give you you want a second rounder for him?
I'm Phil Jackson. I have 11 rings. You should throw in a draft pick and 2 of your starters.
How about we get you? You want Kurt Thomas and Tyson Chandler?
You could add those. You could add those to the package.
Yeah, no, that's our package. But Kurt Thomas and it's just a Kurt Thomas jersey, and Tyson Chandler is just part of his beard. We good? Good.
Do you have any other long-term contracts you could throw in?
By the way, if you're going to call the Celtics, they said they won't give a Tyson Chandler beard for it. So they're not going to. But they will give crab cakes. So if you want to try that.
Well, thanks for saving me a phone call. Would you like me to throw in one of our young assets in this deal?
Yeah, maybe trade Porzingis to get rid of Melo. That would be a pretty good trade. We would do that.
Listen,
if you give us Porzingis to get rid of Melo, we will give you back 2 second-round picks.
Listen, I am no sucker. I know that's an uneven deal. I'll only throw in Hernan Gomez.
Okay, we'll do it. You got us again, Phil.
I'm the Zen master.
The best part is he's proven to be terrible at making trades so far. So it seems like you would want every advantage possible. At least be like, hey, we're planning on like, at least just say, hey, we're planning on the next season with Melo unless we really get blown away by a trade, and then see what happens. Right now, you have to really hope there are 2 teams that will compete with each other to get Melo. Because if it's one team, you're gonna get crap from him.
Right. So he did that. Porzingis got mad. He didn't show up to his exit interview.
Wait, just go back to Melo. So he said in the press conference, he said that they came to Melo and said there were some trade rumors. Are you open to that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Melo, he never says Melo asked for a trade.
Right.
Because some people are reporting that he asked for a trade, and at least according to Phil never said this in the press conference.
Yes. Sometimes there's fake news out there.
Okay, so Melo only asked for a trade with the play he put on the court. Like maybe like metaphorically by like not playing defense, he asked for a trade, but nothing else.
Yeah, Phil received a call and then asked Melo about the call he received. It's not Melo asking for a trade.
That doesn't seem like Melo asking for a trade. I just some people out there are reporting that is Melo asking for a trade by answering Phil's question.
Anyway.
Okay, so the Melo stuff, in fairness, you and I have been talking about Melo being traded. We're totally down for Melo being traded. We feel like the team, you agree that the team probably should move on from Melo, right? Yeah. I do want the team to be more defensive minded and be more quicker, younger, more athletic. Melo's timeline and the Knicks don't go together. Why did Phil think it made sense before this season, but like it's totally changed his mind now. Like, see, the team sucked the last 2 years with Melo. Why was this year going to be different?
Because of Rose and Noah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's probably the actual answer. He also said that he built. We tried to build around Melo. It didn't work. He tried to build around Melo for one season and just called it quits right after.
No, I think he tried to build around Melo for 3 straight seasons. He just sucks at it.
You think he tried to? Like, the first year he didn't try to build around Melo. First year he just kind of like he traded everyone away.
Well, he got rid of bad character people. He got rid of bad hombres.
Bad hombres who are all in the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
Whatever. I still go with what I said last show, that Melo went to the playoffs almost every year until Phil got here.
Literally every single.
Yeah, so Melo's never been a great defender. I gotta say, the guy that's at the top should do a better job of leading, as opposed to like putting all the blame on Melo.
Yeah,
I feel like Phil still wants to be the coach, and still does not really want the job of team president, because he does act more like coach, trying to like create, like he's trying to do everything that coaches do. Like the whole press conference, when does a GM get there and like start criticizing individual players?
I have never seen anything like what just happened.
It was like, so he also said about the triangle. I guess, do you want to talk about KP?
Yeah, we should definitely touch on that. I mean, did it worry you at all that he didn't show up to his exit interview?
There are 2 ways to look at this.
Okay.
One way is to say he's 22 years old and he made a big mistake. The job that pays him, the people that pay him, he ditched them to go do something else because he didn't think it was important to be with them. That's one way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
The other way to look at it is, this is the NBA, and it looks really bad if you just draft this guy and you're trying to build your franchise around him. He thinks your team is too dysfunctional to go to the exit interview. That seems pretty bad for the Knicks, because I feel like he seems like a guy that, like, from everything we've seen of KP, he seems very much. He doesn't seem like an arrogant guy. Seems like he was down for whatever the Knicks would do to build a team, except be completely dysfunctional.
I think it was a statement. He said, by doing that, you need to fix this because I'm really unhappy. And it was kind of like a power move, because now the Knicks know their future of this franchise is very unhappy, and if they don't do something, he may walk after his rookie season.
He put the team on the clock. He said, like, you have to do something, or I'm not going to re-up with you guys. You have to get this act together. I don't care. The view that he's 22 and being stupid, no, he hits free agency, no team's going to care about that. They're going to give him lots and lots of money.
Exactly. It's not like people are going to be like, oh, look what he did. We're not going to offer him a contract. I mean,
just because the Knicks can pay him a few some extra shekels doesn't mean he's not going to say, hey, I'd like to go to a functional organization and take a few less dollars.
Right.
Because I think a lot of guys will look at the Knicks and not sign with the Knicks because they say the Knicks are too dysfunctional and too far from winning. I'd rather be with a team that actually might have a shot of winning.
Right. I mean, believe it or not, there still are a few players in the NBA that actually play to win and not just for paychecks.
I mean, you could do both, though. You could make a ton of money signing with another team.
It's not like when we're talking about a pay cut, they're still making more money than the normal human being will ever see in their entire lives. So
there's nothing mutually exclusive about wanting to win and taking a max deal with another team that can pay you not as much as the Knicks.
Right.
So I think Porzingis is in the power position here and asserted himself a lot better than Phil, who thinks he's in the power position, but it's today's NBA and you have to. It's a player-driven league.
I feel like Phil's ego is way higher than it should be.
His ego. It's just like Phil is a great, great coach. He has a track record for that. It's been 3 years where every year he says the Knicks are going to make the playoffs, and every year the Knicks are a complete laughingstock. He's not well respected as the GM, and no players out there are going to look at this for free agency and go, well, why would I want to, like, go the Knicks? Unless the Knicks are going to why would I want to go to the Knicks and like screw up my career? Because
Right.
every guy that goes there gets less money when they leave.
Right.
So according to Woj from Yahoo, he had some comments about what was said in the Jackson exit interviews. So he said Knicks who attended Jackson interviews were perplexed by some weird-ass game show style questions. What the hell is Phil asking these guys? I feel like Phil is trying to be too Zen master, too like out there with guys. Be like, I'll ask them what kind of tree they'll want to be, and then they'll be able to hit a layup.
He acts like he's the smartest guy in the room at all times, and it's rubbing people the wrong way.
You have to know your limitations, and that's Woj also said players are privately fuming that they want no part of this organization's summer slate of triangle offense regimen at the team's suburban New York practice facility. League sources told The Vertical, in reality, there's an open rebellion to the triangle for the offense itself, and by extension, the discord and dysfunction that its implementation has burdened upon everyone. We're going to the fourth year, and he's yet to fully implement the triangle.
Well, I mean, systems usually take 5 to 6 years to implement.
I am sure this is an okay offensive system. There are a lot of okay offensive systems, and I get for those ranting about how other teams run triangle-style offenses, that's great. The problem is the Knicks' defense. The part of his press conference when he said 99% of the time or 90% of the time we're talking about defense, okay, you're lying, Phil. There's no way your coaching staff was this obsessed with defense because the Knicks' defense wouldn't be this goddamn awful.
Right. You
wouldn't have who was it? Courtney Lee saying, we don't practice defense if you were practicing defense. It's not like Courtney Lee came here and goes, I'm going to sign a reasonable contract with the Knicks and then starts telling lies about Phil Jackson's team.
It's scary. I mean, and then what was the other comment? That Rambis yells at players more than coaches them?
Players are complaining the Knicks media department is too intrusive, the support staff are mostly useless lackeys, and that Hornacek has become a Jackson puppet, nothing we didn't know already. And that, I think, is a huge that's a huge issue also. Either you're going to coach the team or you're not going to coach the team. If you're not going to coach the team, you got to empower the guy who's the coach. And all Phil Jackson does is keep basically telling all the members of the Knicks, this guy's not really in charge. He's basically got like, hey, guys, Jeff Hornacek, he's your substitute teacher. Treat him with that kind of respect.
Right. And also, like, it sounds like Rambis is just there to bother everybody.
Yeah, you can't really have his, like, Phil's lackey next to you. They said here, according to Woj's article, many players are sick of assistant coach Kurt Rambis, who seems more interested in yelling at them than actual coaching. As many fans suspected, the offense has become the obsession of New York's defensive coordination. Defensively. So basically, he's talking more about offense than defense. Holy crap. I mean, and they also reported Carmelo is considering digging in and staying for 2 more years and waiting out Jackson, which I don't think he'll actually do, but that would be hilarious. Not in a good thing for us, but like it'd be funny if like 2 more years of this misery and then like a new GM comes and they start winning again and feels like, see, I told you, if they only adopted the triangle, we would have won 5 titles.
I mean, yeah, it would be kind of, I would hate it, but it would be kind of funny if Melo just decided to say, screw you, Phil, I'm just going to stay and pout.
Yeah. Jackson clashed with former head coach Derek Fisher, not only about the offense, but how to best to incorporate Kristaps into it.
Right, because Phil thinks that Kristaps should just be a post-up player.
Well, but you know what also the problem here is that you can't like keep undermining your coaches. You don't like what Derek Fisher's doing, fire him, but don't sit there arguing with him about how they use his players.
Right.
I mean, I guess like Daryl Morey, obviously, he has a system he goes with. He wants like the guys to adopt the system, and obviously with D'Antoni found the perfect coach for his system. But I don't know. I don't think most GMs are this involved in their teams. Like they're involved in the bigger picture stuff, but not involved in like what plays we're gonna run.
So basically, we had no idea the Knicks were this big of a mess. We knew they were a mess, but this is like way worse than we thought it was.
I mean, they're such a mess that Phil said he's open to Derrick Rose returning.
God.
The craziest thing is, people that are making a big deal about Porzingis, like people that are holding it against Porzingis for missing the exit interview. If you're going to hold it against him, then you should be going crazy about the Knicks doing nothing about Derrick Rose missing a game. Because if you want to set any worse example for players, it's that your player, your veteran misses a game and there's no repercussions.
I mean, what are we going to do if Rose comes back?
Holy crap. Some people have said, like, oh, well, Rose comes back, he'll be a sixth man. And, like, we're only going to pay him 1 year, $10 million. And none of that's true. The Knicks are going to sign him to a 3 or 4 year contract of, like, $15 million a year. And he comes back, he's going to start or raise misery in the locker room.
Yeah, there's absolutely no chance of him coming back on, like, a reasonable 1 year contract and being a sixth man. There's no way.
Either he comes back and starts, or you sign him, he comes back, he becomes Stephon Marbury, just sitting out all the games.
Yeah. I mean, it would probably be both. He'd start until they got fed up with him, and then
this year was a disaster, and they didn't have Derrick Rose coming off the bench.
How are people still defending him?
Rose is an exciting player to watch. I love watching him go to the basket. I'm just not convinced that makes up for. I want a defensive team. I want a team. I don't need the '90s Knicks, but I want a team that's halfway decent at defense.
He's the worst defender on the whole team. On a bad defensive team.
Melo thanks you for not saying it. He's the worst.
He can't shoot. He doesn't get assists, and he doesn't draw fouls.
There's an argument to be made that you could have Melo or Rose, but you can't have both together. And the argument is that Rose's lack of defense can be it won't look nearly as bad if he has other good defenders on the team. And it's not like having him and Melo together is really tough. But if the rest of the guys are normal defenders, Rose would look better.
I mean, it should tell you something. In the last couple of games where there was no Melo, Rose, or Noah, the defense looked really good.
I mean, that's true.
And that was with people like Endor and Plumlee. Like, imagine if we actually had good defenders.
Rose is a useful player. He's not going to sign for the Knicks to be a sixth man, but he'd sign somewhere else, I feel like, and become a sixth man. Because if he signs somewhere else and he has to get that's the only contract he can get, then he'll do it.
I am terrified that the Knicks are going to sign him and make him the starter again.
Oh, my God. And the Knicks will be like, oh, well, it's a bridge. It's a bridge. It's a bridge to the next guy we're going to have, a bridge to nowhere.
Yeah, I got.
Why did he also? Here's a question. So someone has raised. I've heard this raised. Would you trade Porzingis if it involved getting the Nets pick from the Celtics plus Jaylen Brown?
This is tough. If it was the number one pick,
yeah. Let's call it the number one pick.
I think I would.
So you value Fultz over Porzingis or Lorenzo Ball, whatever.
Fultz, not Ball. I want nothing to do with Ball.
Well, fine, Fultz. You would take Fultz. Oh, you basically would trade. I mean, Jaylen Brown also it could be a very good NBA player.
Right.
You take those guys over KP.
It's a 2-for-1. I think it's easier to find a big man.
Unicorns?
They call him the unicorn. He's not a unicorn. It's not.
He's got a horn.
It's not that I'm souring on him. I just got a message from Strive that said yes. So I guess he agrees. Yeah, you know what? Like, as much as I love Porzingis, he's not that good of a rebounder. He's so on defense, and I'm scared to death about his health.
The health is the one big concern I have. I think if used better on a more like a properly functioning team, he will look so much better.
Right. But to answer that, I would rather Fultz.
It would be interesting. Fultz would be an interesting. Fultz plus Jaylen Brown would be an interesting combination.
Yeah.
Turned out. I wouldn't do it just for Fultz.
No, it would have to be two things. But if it was Fultz,
it doesn't have
Brown,
to be Jaylen Brown. It has to be someone else really good to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
Or has a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not. So Phil said that Porzingis is not untouchable.
Yeah, but you don't say that in the press conference.
You don't say most of what he said in a press conference.
You say pretty much nothing what he said in a press conference.
He did say that he respects Melo for putting up with all basically showing a good face during all of this. Basically, like, during the mess I created, I respect the fact that Melo didn't rant like a baby.
Bruno just wrote, I hope Melo doesn't come back. I didn't see one screen he set for other player or a sprint he made the entire year. Rose, I don't want him to come back either, but I don't think he doesn't play hard. He's just bad on defense and dies in every screen, but I think he actually tries. Okay,
so I saw a question, and not to go to Facebook questions early, but this was a good question. From Gillum writes, where's his question? I saw this earlier. Do you think the perception from the other teams and GMs is that Melo didn't defend because he didn't want to put the effort in, or because he physically couldn't?
I think the perception is that he wasn't that into it.
But do you think he was into it for part of the season when the Knicks were playing well?
Not really.
I don't know. I feel like he tried harder. I feel like part of it is on defense, him not knowing necessarily where to always be. And maybe in the past he was more athletic, so he can make up for more of this. But as he's become a little more limited offensively, he can't make up for just like being in the wrong position.
Well, I mean, they say NBA players usually figure out defensive schematics of other teams in year 14, so we're good.
I mean, like the anti-Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd, who just like was very limited but knew where to be. Melo's now becoming more limited and just has no idea where to be on the court half the time. Melo still plays that game of like follow the soccer ball. Like instead of actually being like in the right place to like anticipate them. Like,
I think it's more saving energy. He's not going to run around chasing Kyle Korver around the 3-point line. He's going to wait for Korver to hit that first screen and yell switch and then just stand there.
Yeah, I mean, there probably is a certain amount of that. Like I'm gonna preserve my energy for the offense where it really matters.
Yes.
Where do you think the value is? What do you think his value was at the start of the season versus now? Let's say you put his value trade wise at I'm not saying he's a 10 as like the most tradable, but just like for the scale.
Yeah.
10 is where he was at the start of the season. Where do you think he is now compared to the start of the season as far as trade value?
I think he's still about an 8. I say this because there's less time on his contract. Now it's only 2 years, so even if it's a mistake, 2 years isn't bad. And also he was healthy pretty much the whole season.
I'd almost put it like a 6. And I think the 6 is not because of necessarily even his play on the court. It's because of how desperate the Knicks now look to get rid of him.
Well, I took off 2 points for that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking off more than that. I feel like that's a big thing. I do think he also looked a step slower this season. Those numbers weren't that far off. Just like offensively, his numbers weren't that different than last year. But he also showed that like the old Melo, where he can really take over a game on offense, is not going to happen for you very often anymore.
Yeah, no, definitely not. He's clearly past his prime.
Yeah,
I mean, people who think that we should get a huge haul for him aren't realizing what a 33-year-old aging star is worth.
His numbers are almost offensively. His numbers are almost the exact same. He shot about the same shooting percentages. He got about the same number of points. He got about slightly less rebounds. But that was actually almost 2 rebounds less a game. He got almost 2 assists less, or almost assists and a half less a game. Those are the 2 things he really didn't do as much this season.
Yeah, that's bad.
Those are pretty big deals.
Yeah. On a positive note, Hernan Gomez won Eastern Conference Rookie of the Month.
He deserved it. I would say that's positive, but the negative side of it is the who he's competing with. Like the rookies are so bad this year.
Listen, small victories, all right?
Yeah. Small victory. Either way, we got one of the best rookies. We have probably an all NBA rookie first teamer on our team. So I think it's hard to argue against that.
He's definitely a top 5, maybe a top 3 rookie this season, which is insane.
Which is pretty good. I mean, that's the going to the Phil, screwing up enough to like the only thing he's done is got us high draft picks to like. And then Hernan Gomez was a trade. But he's done a good enough job in the drafting side. He's basically done a good job. You have given him crap because you're like, well, his scouts. Who's the scout that like we all love? Clarence Gaines or what's the guy's name?
I think so.
What you're supposed to do as a GM or a team president is you're supposed to have scouts and you're supposed to trust your scouts. So he's doing what you're supposed to do in that respect.
True. Yeah, I mean, he has drafted well. That's literally the only thing. He's like the Derrick Rose of GMs. He does one good thing good, and he sucks at everything else. In
fairness, of the things that he needs to do, what is probably the most important thing? One of the most important things, especially for a developing franchise. I mean, a team on the build.
No, I agree. Drafting is very important, but you can't cripple the team's cap space with guys like Noah. Like that's the kind of mistake that our ceiling is already 20% lower because 20% of our cap is toward garbage.
Yeah, you could say that, or you could say now we can't spend the money, so we're going to learn how to play more efficiently.
I could say that, but I'd be lying.
Yeah. What else do we want to talk about for the press conference? What other things are we missing here? Jackson talked about the triangle again and said the team did not. What did he say? He said we faced resistance. We faced it from the top.
Well, according to that Woj article, there was pretty much a player rebellion against it.
I mean, why is he so obsessed? Why doesn't he just say, like, Hornacek, run whatever offense you want, try to incorporate some triangle, and there you go?
I feel like the way Phil wants to do it, he hates three-pointers, and he's trying to run an outdated system. Like, I know a lot of people say that other teams run parts of the triangle, and I think that's what the game has evolved to. I think you run parts of the triangle. I don't think you just do the triangle.
Right. And then people keep joking, well, if you just call it something else, no one will complain about it. Just whatever. Here's the big thing. Whatever system you want, get the players on board. If you're not getting the players on board, maybe it's the players, but maybe it's you after 3 freaking seasons.
Right. I mean, you've had, in the last 3 seasons, what have you had, like 37 players?
Yeah.
It can't be all 37 players.
And maybe you should have said, like, hey, if Melo's not the guy to run the triangle for you, and have him the centerpiece, then maybe you should have figured that out a while ago. Not re-signed him in the first place, or figured it out after year 1 or year 2.
I mean, I've heard some disturbing things about Phil, about how he wasn't showing up to, the college games, and he wasn't like, well, we talked about it before, how he wasn't available during the trade deadline. Like, some really egregious things right there.
How much better would the team look next year with just having Rubio over Rose?
Oh my God! Oh, we didn't talk about Dolan officially. Did we say Phil's?
I want to do my my segment. Drum roll, Jay. Today is Monday, April 17th, and today in Knicks history, James Dolan did not. I repeat, did not spit on any Knicks great. Specifically, Bernard King was not spat on today or cursed out by James Dolan. Thank you, James Dolan, for not cursing out Bernard King today.
See, he's not such a bad guy after all, folks.
Yes. And as far as I know, I mean, maybe stories will come out contradicting this, but ever since the Knicks season ended, James Dolan has not screamed at any fans.
My sources confirm that that's true.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Let's see. Do I have anything else on here? No. Do you want to do the?
You didn't talk about the fact that Phil said, "I've learned I probably need to be better at mentoring." Says team went in the tank when he took time off and went to West Coast.
He's so full of himself.
When is a GM supposed to mentor the players?
I mean, how full of himself does he think that he went away for 2 weeks and the whole team went to crap?
But isn't that also doesn't he understand you're the GM, you're not supposed to be mentoring players. That's not your job. You're not supposed to be the guy coaching the players.
He's so full of himself.
I think Pat Riley seemed to understand when he took over as team president GM that he had a new role he had to learn. Phil does not seem to get that he has a new role.
No, he does not.
Phil also said he has not been very good at tweeting, or very good at like just explaining his tweets like to a reporter afterwards. So anyone has any idea, like we don't have to pretend it's like the Dead Sea Scrolls. Yeah. He also said that what else did he say? He said
I think we covered pretty much.
yeah, we said
pretty much
everything
all that stuff.
basically.
You want to move on?
So I also love this comment was, and this was from Seth Rosenthal. Sent this tweet basically because Phil had said that the Knicks have not won with Melo, and Seth wrote, "This is actually true of Phil and not of Melo. Actually, the Knicks have not won with Phil. They've actually won with Melo.
Yeah, that is very true.
Sadly, the best season we've had in the last 15 years was one. We made the second round, but that was with Melo. Yeah. I just think he also said about Hornacek, he had been in agreement with Hornacek that he could blend his pace offense with a triangle, but in February saw the team needed more fundamentals. I mean, can you undermine your coach anymore?
Yeah, so basically, in summary, the entire press conference was a train wreck. Okay, so that was
Jay,
yeah.
do you know? I want to add in. Do you know how bad Phil Jackson's press conference was? Do you know how much damage it actually did?
No.
It did so much damage that after the press conference, Melo and Lala split up.
See, Phil? You see what you did, Phil?
This is according to TMZ, who's reporting that Lala and Melo split up, which is pretty sad.
It is.
Yes, and now not only does Phil Jackson not want Melo, neither does Lala. Do you think this will cause Melo to be more open to leaving? I mean, I guess. Do you think the overall goal here for Phil is the issue he has is that Melo's not opening himself up to enough teams, and he felt like just like the counter side of this thing is that basically Phil's going out there and just basically saying we don't want you on this team anymore, and then Melo will respond by saying fine, trade me to 10 teams instead of 2.
Could be. I mean, I guess it depends. He always said he wants to stay in New York because of his family. If Lala gets custody, then there's really nothing keeping him here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, something keeping him here would still be his kid.
I mean, you never know what happens. You know, she gets custody and then
you don't
moves.
have custody doesn't mean you're okay. You would still probably have visitation to some level.
Yeah, I mean, it depends if she moves too.
And divorces take a long time. Especially when there's a lot of money. I'm going to guess there's a lot of money involved in this.
Probably a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to say that this is Phil Jackson's fault for trying to implement the triangle into their marriage.
So I did the end of the season player rankings for the Knicks roster.
Ooh, player rankings. Final player rankings.
On our website, the NewYorkKnicksPodcast.com. You could find that. So usually during the season, I rank the Knicks roster every week. I only got to do it a handful of times this season because the CPA is the worst thing that ever happened to me.
You could have just said you only got to do a handful of times because this team was almost unwatchable.
And so I did an end of the season one. You want to guess where the final rankings are?
Yeah, I want to guess. You did 15 players.
Yeah.
I'm going to start the bottom up.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. My number 15 is going to be Sasha, and your reasoning is going to be, how is this guy still here? I hate you, Phil. I hate you. I hate you, Phil.
You would be wrong.
Ooh, hang on. Okay. Someone else is in 15th place. I'm going to say Noah is in 15th place. Though Noah is unfair because while he was not very good on the court, he was still better than a bunch of other players when on the court. So I think is Noah 15th?
Noah's 15th.
I don't know. He was more productive when he wasn't horrific when playing on the playing.
He wasn't very good either.
No, he wasn't very good. Sasha wasn't terrible on the. I wonder if Sasha actually. Do you think Sasha's numbers went up from last season?
No.
Okay, so I'm curious about this. So he's scoring less points than last year. I mean, he didn't.
He didn't get a lot of, but he got a lot less playing time.
He got like 5 minutes less of playing time. His shooting percentage was actually worse. Yeah, everything was worse actually this year. So he's guaranteed to be on the team again next year.
So what you're saying is we no longer have peak Sasha.
Yeah, we don't have peak. Why is Phil obsessed with not like trying to fill that roster spot with someone that can be part of our future? It's the triangle. He's like, well, having Sasha here is best for the triangle, and the triangle's best for humanity. Okay, so Noah's 15th. I would have put Sasha there, but I'm going to say 14th is Sasha.
Yes, you are correct.
What was your reason for putting Noah 15th? Because he did play. What did Noah play? 30 games? 50 games? How many games did he play? He played
Played almost 50, I think.
Okay, he played 46 games, which 20 more, almost 20 more than last season. So Phil got him at a more healthier part of his career.
He's on the upswing, folks.
He scored almost a point more a game. Got his average up from 4.3 to 5.0 points per game.
Don't
He
look at his field goal percentage.
Oh, I'm not going to look at that. His field goal percentage is almost 50% this year.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
It says 49.5.
Oh, I thought it was much lower.
No. Last year it was 38%.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of. Okay.
Yeah, I mean this year, thought that his free throw percentage is 43%. He was a better shooter from not the free throw line, which is hard to do.
Yeah.
His offensive rebounding was pretty good, actually.
Okay, let's not spend too much time on Noah. He's terrible. My reasoning was he had a season-ending injury, and while he had a season-ending injury, he got suspended for breaking the drug policy, and then somehow got a second season-ending injury.
It also got we have 3 more years of him, and it's tortured some to realize that he's taking up so much more of the cap space than Plumlee, and not doing anything more than Plumlee would do.
Right.
Okay. Your number 13 is Plumlee.
No, it's not.
Endor.
Yes, it is.
What's your reasoning there? Endor did hit the last second shot to save us from getting a better draft pick.
I actually wrote this ranking is not because he hit the game-winning shot, potentially ruining our draft pick. It's just that I don't think I like his energy. I don't really think he's an NBA player.
I think if anything, he probably needs another season or two in the D League or somewhere else.
He needs some seasoning. I mean, he could eventually get there. I
wasn't impressed by him when I saw him on the court. And I never saw him as being that much of a difference maker on either side. I think he's a guy that had trouble making another NBA roster.
Yeah.
Then number 12 we up to?
Number 12, yeah.
So 12 is going to be are you counting what's his name? Randall?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not counting Jennings, or are you counting Jennings also?
No, Jennings is out.
Okay, so Randall's number 12.
Yes. Well, you're doing good.
Yeah. I'm going to go. Randall just didn't get a chance to really prove himself, so he barely played.
Yeah,
Plumlee's 11.
I feel like he had an opportunity when Rose went down, and it was basically just Baker, and he didn't really take advantage of that. So
he could have gotten more minutes.
Yeah.
But next is Plumlee.
Yes.
Okay. And Plumlee didn't play that much either. Number 10 on this list. This is where it gets a little trickier.
Yeah. This is where it got kind of hard.
Number 10 on this list, I'm going to have to say you can't go Cock here. Cock had a pretty decent season.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Holiday? No, Lance Thomas. You hate Lance Thomas.
I do, but no, it's not Lance Thomas.
Who am I missing? It's not Holiday, right?
No.
It is Rose?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, Rose did look. I also loved someone pointed out there like we're saying why Rose is better than Melo. We need a guy like Rose and his efficient scoring. You need guys in the NBA who could score efficiently like Rose. And then someone goes, well, Melo's true shooting percentage was better than Rose's this year. Which is just a great company. Like, oh, goddamn facts.
That was like when the Pacers lost on a last-second shot, and Paul George said he needs to take the last shot, and then ESPN's like, he's 2-32 all-time in his career in last-second shots.
Who would you rather have back in back night? If you have to choose one, Melo or Rose?
Peak?
No, now.
Why would I want Rose?
You're saying you'll take Melo.
Yeah.
Why did you say peak?
I don't know. I thought you were making it interesting. I feel like it's a no-brainer right now. Why would anybody want Rose?
Well, Phil wants Rose. You could argue that it would be easier to play around Rose's style than Melo's style.
No. I disagree.
Okay, so what's that thing? Murder, marry, kill, F?
F, marry, kill?
F, marry, kill. F, marry, kill. F, marry, kill. Melo, Rose, and Bargs.
Oof. Okay. I guess you would do.
And F here means you get him for a season. Marry means you get a 5-year deal for him, and kill means
You kill him.
you commit homicide.
I would say F Bargs, marry Melo, kill Rose.
Wait, oh really? You'd F Bargs? I don't know. I think Bargs is my last one. I'm still gonna kill Bargs.
Yeah, but his contract is like half of the other guys.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't think. Here's the thing with the money right now. I don't think until Noah's contract is up, we're even using it doesn't even matter as long as we don't have a contract longer than Noah.
Mm-hmm.
The money's dead at this point. Like we're not going to compete while we have Noah here.
Mm-hmm.
So however we spend the money, as long as we don't have contracts any dumb contracts post Noah.
Right.
I think Phil also said something along the lines of like we're still like 3 or 4 years away from competing, and I never said I came here to win a title.
Oh, good. Because there's so many other points of playing in the NBA other than winning titles.
I came here so that 5 years from now, we could be 5 years from a rebuild.
I came here because I got paid $50 million, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, number 9?
Number 9 is going to be Lance.
Yes.
Number 8, Holiday.
No.
Ooh, Cock?
No.
You're not putting Courtney Lee here, are you?
No.
You can't put Melo. Melo has to be up there.
You're forgetting an obvious one.
I am. It's not. Who am I forgetting?
Kuz.
Oh, Kuz is ranked too high. I like Kuz, but his defense, he does not do that much on the court. If he's not making his shots, he's pretty bad on the court.
The thing is, there's only 7 guys that are decent on this team, so it's really 8 through 15 was kind of a crapshoot.
7 is Holiday then.
Yeah.
6.
Holiday would have been like 4 if I made this like 6 weeks ago, but he really fell off a cliff the last few weeks.
Yeah, he looked pretty bad. I'm not convinced that he's any better than Lance Thomas. 6 was going to be Cock.
Yep.
5 is going to be Hernan Gomez.
No.
Courtney Lee.
No.
5 is going to be. You're not putting Melo. KP?
Nope. It's the only
5
guy.
is good. Just tell me the damn player.
The only guy left on the roster you haven't mentioned, Baker.
Oh, Baker. Oh, my God. I completely forgot about Baker. Baker, don't leave me because I forgot you.
I should say
that's really high for Baker.
These rankings are based on expectation versus performance.
I thought it was just who the best players are on the Knicks.
No, because Melo would be number 1 every single week.
Yeah, you usually have Melo every single week, number 1.
I don't always have Melo number 1.
You almost always do. When you have a KP ahead of him, it's because KP had a better week of playing.
Yeah, that's how power rankings work.
You changed all the rules. It's not based on expectation. You can't say Baker is a better player, had a better season than Cock.
He did it compared to expectations.
But you never said this expectation bullshit. You've never used this expectation thing the entire season, and now you're rewriting the rules.
It's been a while since I did these rankings. Okay,
Because
so
you realize the entire season had nothing to do with expectations. You're not like, hey, Plumlee, I expected you never to play. You got on the court. I'm going to put you in number 2.
Okay, you're right.
This list is a sham. I don't know why I've been going down this road with you.
You got them almost all of them right.
Okay, what do we have to do?
You're not going to get the top 4 right, though.
Okay, number 4. 4 is going to be Courtney Lee.
No.
4 is going to be KP.
Nope.
4 is going to be, I don't know.
It's Melo.
How is Melo 4?
I don't know. He ended the season not playing defense and injured.
He started the season not playing defense and injured.
and he went into like a huge shooting slump.
Yeah, but his numbers are pretty much the same as last year.
Yeah. But if you're going back to my original ranking, his last couple weeks was bad, so technically he should be lower.
But if you go back to your expectation thing, you should have expected him to play the exact same way as last year, which he did on a tee. He didn't exceed. He gave you the same basic performance from last year.
Yeah, no, now I'm going back to the way it's supposed to be. I'm going back to the last couple weeks.
Okay, so number 3. So your number 1 is KP?
No.
Your number 1 is Courtney Lee?
No. There's only 3 guys left.
I don't know who the 3 guys are.
Hernan Gomez.
Number 1 on the list is number 3 is Hernan Gomez.
No, number 1.
Hernan Gomez is number 1 on your list. He's the best Knick.
Probably.
Your rankings, Jay. I have a question. I know.
Who played better the last couple weeks?
We talk more about on Brink. We talk more about the fact that you're taking these CPA exams or CFA exams.
We have a comedy podcast called The Brink of Sanity. You could find that on iTunes.
So I realize now why you're not been passing the exams. Based on the list you just presented to me, you must have Down syndrome.
The last month, who has played better than Hernan Gomez?
It's not the last month. It's the whole season.
No, you just told me it wasn't.
You said it's the whole. It's the rankings for the whole season.
Yeah.
Did you say this was not like? It's not the March rankings or the April rankings. It's the entire season rankings. Why would we do
final rankings?
It's the final rankings.
Yeah.
It's the final month rankings.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding or not? It's like an April Fool's show.
But no, if I do it every week and then this is the last one.
Wait, I thought you were doing an overall. Holy crap! I thought you were doing an overall season rankings.
Well, you got them all right, pretty much anyway.
Oh my god! I can't. You're doing it on the Philly game. The Philly game is your rankings.
No,
I ranked the guys based on how they played against Philly.
The last 12 games.
An arbitrary period of games.
Yep.
I just said the last 12 games. The last. Let's see. The season's made of like sets of 12 games until your math doesn't work very well.
Courtney Lee's 2, Porzingis is 3. Let's move on.
Holy crap. This was the worst list. Your list was worse than Phil Jackson's press conference. Phil Jackson made more sense in his press conference than you made with your list.
You haven't seen the Ringer's list of top 100 Simpsons episodes.
I've not seen that. Is that a terrible list?
It is a terrible, terrible list.
I also actually if you want to guess, I did power rankings also of the players.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. It's it's only based on the third quarter of Game 68 against the Bucks.
So Hernan Gomez is number 1, right? So you
actually Chase on Randall, that was his big game, so he's the best Knick. In the final rankings, he's the best Knick.
Okay. Lorenzo writes,
I can't even. You really did it on the last 12? Why would you do that?
I put together the list 30 minutes before the show started. So
what do you think the final rankings meant?
Apparently, I did not know what the final rankings meant.
I'm going to change the. It's going to be an arbitrary period of games, and I'm going to change the rules on Mark to make it absurd.
Can we move on?
Oh. I see why Noah was. Why did you say Noah was 15th? Because he didn't play the last 12 games.
nyknickspodcast@gmail.com is our email. Lorenzo writes, "Hey guys, if Hornacek gets the flick, who will we get to replace him? I don't think we can accept a coach's daughter less hot than Horny's daughter. That's the benchmark. If we could only get the Bucks owner to buy the team, Google Mallory Edens, and keep Horny, then we could have a great 1-2 punch."
Mallory Edens. I found Mallory Edens College.
So what?
Oh, I think it's probably a college student, not a. Hang on. Jay, I gotta search this. I gotta see who Mallory Edens is.
So as far as coaches,
she's pretty good. I'm gonna say I like Horny's daughter over her, but what if Horny's daughter just took over? Would you be upset basically if they were like, well, she's just doing exactly what Phil? She's Phil's puppet. Would you be like, that sounds? Would you be okay with that?
I mean, I'd rather. I mean, if basically we're just going to run what Rambis and Phil says anyway, we might as well have a hot girl doing it.
Yeah, that'd be really great. Like the team time. Every time they have a timeout, like the audience rate, the ratings go through the roof.
So coaches, what would you do?
Oh, she's been in a couple shows.
Oh yeah,
she was on American Horror.
Oh okay.
She's the girl from that first season who like they thought she killed off.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, you liked American Horror back in the day.
Yeah, like season 1.
That was the one season she was on. There was also she was on or maybe she's not the same person.
Can we move on?
This is not the same person. Sorry. I don't know why I thought it was the same person. I'm getting confused by the internet.
Coaches, focus, Mark. Focus.
Oh, maybe this is Kate Mara.
Close the window. Answer the question.
Is there a question being posed while I look at Kate Mara's daughter? Oh, this is Kate Mara. Okay,
the rest
Kate
of the
Mara's
episode, Mark's just going to Google women and then talk about who he's looking at.
She's Zoe Barnes from A House of Cards.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Maybe next episode when Mark gets his focus back, we can answer your question.
Oh, did he ask a question?
George writes, how crazy is it that KP might pull a KD and leave because of our dysfunction? And also, how much of a mook is Phil Jackson? And he sent us the Urban Dictionary definition of mook.
I was wondering if mook was a racist term. What is mook?
I'm waiting for the page to load.
I assume a mook means Mookie Wilson, who played for the Mets, meaning a guy that hustles, is what he's saying. Phil Jackson's a hustler.
Bastard, loser, a-hole, jerk.
I'm pretty sure I could not call... I'd have trouble saying the word mook in public.
Yeah. I like the sentences they use. We don't pay mooks.
We don't pay mooks. Why don't we do a show, the Knicks brought to you by mooks?
Mark writes, number 1, who is most stubborn, Dolan, Phil, or Melo? I think Phil.
I don't know. Dolan seems to call like everyone alcoholics that disagrees with him.
Is that stubborn or is that just weird?
Yeah. I don't know if Melo's stubborn. I mean, Melo just says he wants to play for the Knicks, and the Knicks keep being like, no, you don't. You want all the money. Well, I'm kind of down for just playing for the Knicks right now. No, you don't. I mean, in fairness, he could have left and had, like... Do you think he's here just for the money at this point?
Wait, just because he picked the money over a better situation twice?
Maybe he just wanted to be in New York.
Then he could have waited. We go through this every episode.
Oh,
he could have waited as a free agent.
Whatever. Maybe he wanted to be in New York really soon because he saw, like he sees those sappy, like... He's like, I want to be where Woody Allen shoots his movies now.
Okay.
I don't know. Whatever. Okay.
And when do you think this Phil quote is from?
By the way, is this our playoff preview episode?
Yeah, we're going to have to do that next episode. We're almost out of time. When do you think this Phil quote is from?
How much time do we have left?
10 minutes.
Okay, go fast.
Oh,
I think we had 10 minutes left.
Actually, our show just got cut to an hour.
It's an hour long? What happened? Jay, I thought our show was an hour and a half.
Yeah, apparently he wants to do hour blocks, so the choice was 1 hour or 2 hours, and we can't do 2 hours every week.
Oh, well, thanks for... So we're never going to be able to keep to 1 hour.
So we're already 5 minutes over, so we just messed up the schedule for the rest of the day.
So we screwed up the show on episode 1, and the show that part that people ever actually really like, the questions we're not even doing.
I mean...
Let's just finish the episode with the questions and try to keep to it next show.
Okay. When do you think this Phil quote is from? Carmelo has to be a better passer, and the ball can't stop every time it's in his hands.
I'm going to say that is from earlier this season.
The answer is back in 2012, before he even came to the Knicks. He also called the Knicks clumsy.
Oh. So maybe he should have figured this stuff out about Melo not being the right guy for his system before he got here?
Maybe.
That's pretty good, actually. I mean, yeah, whatever.
So that was it for email. We're at NY Knicks Podcast on Twitter.
On Facebook, Pat. Oh, do we have Twitter questions?
I thought we had one.
Okay, Pat writes on Facebook. How do you find the strength to continue?
It's really, really hard.
I don't know how we keep doing the show. This is pretty awful. Anthony writes, crazy to think that I see very little hope. This draft pick has to be. If this draft pick is not good, next season we have to see real improvement. We can't have another season where we're tanking again.
Yeah.
Anthony writes, what?
I was going to read the Twitter questions.
Okay, Jay.
Do you think Melo opts out next summer and leaves as a free agent to screw over Phil? That's from Joey Nicknuts.
That would be kind of funny. That's not even unreasonable because maybe Phil can't trade him this summer.
Yeah, maybe you ruined my trade value. Just going to have to wait this out.
I will give Phil credit if he can trade Melo to a non-obvious team because of having done this press conference. If Melo says, fine, I'll go play in Utah, and we trade him to Utah, I will give Phil credit. If the trade is just for the Cleveland or the Clippers, like the same trade that we thought he was going to make to begin with, then I cannot give him credit. The Celtics lost to the Bulls in the first game. You think the Celtics might overreact soon?
Yes. I'm kind of hoping that the Celtics and Clippers both get swept in the first round.
That would be amazing for the trade. That would make up for every dumb thing Phil has said. Phil will probably scoop the trade anyway.
And the last question from KP6 is it a good thing Phil finally said F it and publicly announced Melo has to go after 3 years of hints and riddles? Because after that last game, Melo said he would love to stay, and Phil had to shut that down as quick as possible.
Yeah. I mean, even his press conference, Phil was like, Melo likes playing here, but he should go. Melo, you don't want to be seen as a loser for your career, like I'm doing right now. I'm being seen as a loser. You don't be like me right now. You want to have rings, don't do what I'm doing.
Right.
It's almost like I said to Melo that you don't want to be seen as not winning at this stage in your career, and that's why I'm gonna resign. I'm opting out. See you later. Anthony writes, crazy to think that if we started rebuilding 3 to 5 years ago, we'd be in much better place, but always trying to win now has killed us. Do you think we're finally going to rebuild from here, or will we sign another big free agent this summer and continue losing?
The second part of that statement.
Door number 2. Yeah. Phil also said that he tried to win now with Melo. He tried to build a team around Melo for this season.
That's true.
Yeah. It's just Phil can't figure out what he wants to do. The team, the team does not have direction because you've not given. You can't just say we're going to rebuild and also try to win now.
Yeah.
Adam writes, I finally gave up on this team 2 months ago. I didn't watch more than 3 games since February. Villamelo's bullshit has to stop, and they both need to F off. Until they don't, we will not make any progress. Let's hope we can win the draft coin flip and pick 3rd to 5th at this point. Is Porzingis going to leave after his rookie contract? When can he leave?
2 more years.
So right after Phil's done?
Yeah.
So Phil basically will come here, have 5 straight tanking seasons, and then get rid of KP.
Probably.
Not saying the next few years are going to be bad. I have to think the Knicks will be better than this season. But then again, if you get rid of Melo, then you've gotten rid of the one guy we can't seem to win without. Because when Melo doesn't not play, the team's record is horrible.
Yeah.
So to think the Knicks are actually going to win more games after losing Melo is kind of hard to believe. Like, you take Melo off this team, does the team win more or less games?
Less.
Yeah. Okay. Adam writes, realistically, how long before New York make a significant playoff run and become a team who other teams fear and don't look forward to playing against instead of coming to the Garden and having career highs?
As soon as they build time machines, we could go back to the 90s and watch that.
But how long away are we? How long away are they realistically from this happening?
I mean, it could be as soon as 3 years if right moves start getting made.
I would say, yeah, 3 years yeah, 3 years sounds pretty good to me.
I mean, you could rebuild pretty quick. The Bucks' oldest starter last game was 26.
I have to say, Steven wrote in our messages on our page, only you guys could hire one of the. He's a resident Raptors fan. He said only you guys could hire one of the top 3 coaches of all time and have it being an effing disaster.
It's true.
That is a very Knicksian move.
It is.
Also, Mike wrote on our page also, my question to you guys, why is everyone flipping out over Phil's disloyalty to Melo? We need him gone anyway. This might get him out of the door faster. Plus, Melo did the same thing to Jeremy Lin, so karma. I think that's fair. I mean, Melo kind of helped get rid of Jeremy Lin.
Yeah.
I think everyone's just flipping out about the way Phil did it. It was kind of a weird. Like, no one's flipping out that Phil was going to trade him prior to the trade deadline.
Right.
Paul writes, will Phil's treatment of Melo be enough for Porzingis to want to leave, or will it be when he inevitably brings Rose back? When he inevitably brings Rose back. My phone just auto-predicts Porzingis accents now.
Yeah, it'll be bringing Rose back.
Alex writes, can you guys do a bracket for the Knicks show like you mentioned on the Brink podcast? I don't think we have all-time greatest bits in the show, do we?
So for a comedy podcast, a listener sent in a Sweet 16 type of bracket where we have running jokes or running bits that we do on the show, and then we would have listeners vote to see what was their favorite thing. And I mean, if you guys can send us messages of your favorite bits or recurring skits or jokes,
I guess we can try it quickly. I'm gonna say the 16th seed would be the Derrick Rose impression.
Yeah, I mean, we got the Beast Report.
We got Beast Report. We got Sir Insider. We've got Woodson, which would probably be number 1 seed.
Yep. Derrick Rose impression.
All right, I think I said that as the 16th seed. What else we got?
You mispronouncing names.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, so if you guys have any more ideas, maybe we could put that together.
Ben says, say Boston gets the number 1 pick, but they don't need Ball or Fultz because of Isaiah. Could we somehow trade Melo and put in our picks for theirs? Unlikely, but I find it making up scenarios like this stops the depression really kicking in. So could you a package of Melo and our number 1 pick? Would that get someone else's number 1 pick? I guess who's 3 in the draft?
Jackson.
No, I meant who's got the 3rd pick? Like who's like the Philly?
Yeah. No, Lakers.
Lakers, Melo. Maybe.
Could happen.
Antonio writes, how bad of a sign is KP not showing up for the team's exit meeting? Do you think he will get fined? The whole meeting was probably useless. However, him as an employee had to attend it anyways. It is a bad look for him. Fans may start questioning his professionalism and commitment to the team. I don't know. Maybe he thought like skipping out on things is the best way to get the team to want to bring you back.
I mean, apparently he was coached. He had advice. He didn't do that on his own.
Well, who cares? He gets the final say over stuff.
Yeah.
It's his call. I mean, like a lot of guys have people that advise them. Are you really annoyed at this though? Like the team is dysfunctional.
No, I'm not. I'm not terribly annoyed.
I think like if you want to make a statement that the team needs to get their act together, it's fine. He can make a team of this worthless exit interview.
Yeah.
I mean, what was he going to get out of the exit interview? Especially if Phil's asking weird questions of people.
Well, I mean, the whole point of the exit interview is to tell your feelings on the team, and he pretty much gave them his feelings on the team.
That's a pretty vocal thing, saying I'm going to skip all this stuff because I don't think there's a lot of value in this, and I'd like you the team to figure your act out.
Right.
Alex writes, fun fact of the day, the Seattle Supersonics have more playoff wins than the New York Knicks since 2001. Sonics 8, Knicks 7. I don't know if that was a fun fact, Alex.
That wasn't very fun.
Alejandro writes, man, I effing hate being a Knicks fan sometimes. That's going to be the new motto at the Garden.
The mood around here is taking a dark turn.
Yes. Frank writes, we're almost done here. So KP skipped the exit meeting, and that seems to be the big thing that everyone's worried about more than anything. So KP skipped his exit meeting, and if you switched his name with Melo, I wouldn't have questioned it for a minute. With that said, what do you think Melo's influence has been on KP? Because to me, skipping that meeting is the real Melo move.
I feel like Melo's been a really good sport through this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, the bad influence on Melo is that his lack of like defense probably has made KP not value defense as much either.
Because I mean, considering all the crap Phil's put him through, Melo's been really good.
I mean, it's been a while of like trying to trade Melo. It's been pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like just get rid of him or no, don't get rid of him. Just
not even trying to trade him, being very passive aggressive about it.
Right, like that whole ring ding, that Bleacher Report article where you're like, why did you do that?
Yeah. I mean, if you really want him to go, you walk up to him and say, I would like you to go. You don't tweet weird things.
I mean, also, even passive-aggressive way of saying, we got some inquiries and we want to know if you're okay. Yeah, you know what? I bet if the Golden State Warriors got inquiries about Steph Curry, they don't ask Steph Curry if he's open to it.
Yeah.
You wanted to trade him. You're like, I don't know. Some other teams might want you. Do you want to go, please? Gillum writes, what the F does stay Melo mean? And what if Phil tweeted back, stay Phil? I don't know what stay Melo means at all. Do you know what that means?
It's his brand. He's trying to like force a catchphrase.
Oh, maybe if you played better, it would be helpful. Then the brand would catch on. I mean, part of it also is that like maybe Melo was never the guy to build around, and you should have realized like he's not a guy that like you can say like he's gonna be the leader, and like he's not gonna have the LeBron, Michael Jordan level role in this team. He's never gonna be quite that level. And maybe recognizing that faster would have been helpful for the team.
Yeah.
Gillum writes, what former Knicks will you especially follow on the playoffs? Or in the playoffs?
David Lee on the Spurs.
I forgot he was on the Spurs.
Crawford. Ariza.
Mike D'Antoni.
Jerry and Grant.
Yeah, Grant. I don't think he's going to do much.
I mean, Bulls' crunch time lineup was Lopez and Grant.
But that's just in the playoffs. Knicks don't need guys that aren't play well in the playoffs. We don't go to the playoffs. That is kind of crazy.
You're welcome, Chicago, for 40% of your crunch time lineup.
You're welcome, Cleveland, for one of your starting five and your one of your main guys off the bench.
I like the playoffs is kind of like find that ex-Nick.
Find that ex-Nick that we got rid of.
Who's playing way better now.
Find that ex-Nick that we got very little for, and the new team is very happy to have. Wow. Gillum writes, do you think the perception from... Oh, we wrote this question already. Darryl writes, well, I have to thank you boys for making another useless waste of a season somewhat cathartic. Mark, especially with your lamentations and self-flagellations over being a Knicks supporter, which we all feel just as deeply but couldn't express quite like you. Speaking of which, do you think there is any substance to the KP stuff that's happening? Do you think he's loyal to Melo? Maybe. And Jay, will you be sad to see the end of the Melo drama that has been New York basketball? Trust the process. I'm so confused.
I was very scared when I heard that Porzingis news. I
don't think it's going to amount to much. I think what really matters is what kind of team they put together next year. If the dysfunction goes away and the team is playing better and looks like there's like potential, KP is going to stay. If it's just 2 more years of dysfunction, then he's leaving. This is just hey, I'm foreshadowing this could get a lot worse kind of thing.
I think so too, but it's not a good sign.
No, it's not a good sign, but do you think it's him supporting? I don't think it's him supporting Melo either.
I don't either.
I think he had my guess is that he had this thing he's doing in Latvia, and he had the schedule, and they're like, hey, that's coinciding with the meeting when Phil wants to meet with you. And he's like, oh, I'm going to leave anyway because that's what dysfunction does. It leaves. I don't know. I don't think he do you think he – yeah, whatever. Do you think I guess do you think this is definitely a power play by KP, or what do you think it is?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it does seem like it has to be. And it seems like he won this round.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much everyone says when they go against Phil the GM. They won this round. Okay, one last question of the show. Brian writes, assuming Phil plays out his contract in 2019, do you trust him to draft guys that can contend for a championship by 2024 or so? And which GM would you like to take over for him in 2019? Holy crap. You have to wait till 2024 to have a shot? Or holy crap, you think we're going to win a title by then? Do you trust him on the drafting to listen to draft, to bring together a reasonable roster?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the one thing he can do.
Yeah, it seems like yes and no. He'll make the I hope he doesn't make another Noah move.
I mean, if he does, then that's it. We're not going to recover from 2 Noahs.
Oh my God. Oh, we are. I guess it's going to be. What kind of deal is Rose going to get from the Knicks?
3 years, 15 per.
Yeah, 3 years, $45 million sounds realistic for a guy that's not worth any of that money.
I mean, that's a total Knicks contract right there.
Yeah, but then other people will be like, "Well, that's what you need to pay to get a guy that's going to hurt your franchise when he plays."
They paid market value.
I still would say that Melo or Rose you could have on the team and still play well. You just can't have both of them on the team at the same time.
Well, we will.
What do you think Phil has to get back to make it worthwhile for him to trade? Because he said there were offers on the table for Melo that he did not think were worthwhile.
I don't even know at this point. I don't even know what his trade value is.
Yeah. Do you think we can get a first rounder for him?
I think it depends what team and what first rounder. I don't think we're getting a number 1 pick for him, but I think we could get something like around where we are. 6 to 10.
I don't
Definitely
think
not
we're-
top 5.
Well, the problem is the teams that you're going to trade with are going to be all teams that don't have those picks.
Right.
So you have to like get another team. I still think you're going to be able to get. You're not going to get a ton for. You're not going to get a big haul from Melo, which is frustrating.
Yeah.
What did we learn today, Jay?
We learned that even though the season's over, the Knicks are still capable of embarrassing themselves and causing more drama than any other team in the league.
Playoff preview? What playoff preview?
They caused so much drama, we couldn't even talk about the playoffs.
Let's just say what teams you think are going to win each series, just so we say it at least.
All right, we have exactly 2 minutes to do this.
Spurs, Grizzlies.
Spurs.
Yeah, Spurs, and I think it's first round's 4 games, or 7 games, or
yeah.
Or Spurs in 5. Cavs, Pacers.
Cavs
in 4. Bucks, Raptors.
Bucks.
Really? In what?
6.
Raptors in 7. Bulls, Celtics.
Celtics. 6.
Bulls in 5 because something like this has to happen for the Knicks. It would be so wonderful. Jazz, Clippers.
Jazz. 7.
Yeah, I think Jazz are going to get this series. Jazz in 6.
6 or 7, yeah.
Hawks, Wizards.
Wizards.
And?
5.
Really?
Yeah, they're just a much better team.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm going to say Wizards in 6. Thunder, Rockets.
Rockets. 5.
Rockets in 6. Warriors, Trailblazers.
Warriors in 4.
Trailblazers in 4. Okay. Done with the show?
Yep. Thanks for listening, everybody. And we will be back next week.
Bye, love.